that is on. Yeah, I think so. Okay, this week, just a sort of coverage on the platform as a service. So various, we've had this sort of introduction to cloud services overall. I mentioned last week a few sort of specific platforms as services that are put out by people like Facebook or this force.com that are in certain areas. Microsoft and Google tend to be more open development, for it, more your sort of generic programmers approach to it. And as I say, we'll concentrate really on the Google side, but the Microsoft side does have some similarities with it. So what we mean by the platform is this stack, as they sort of call it, that you install on a particular device to run your application. So we tend to be using at the moment, say, Java with MySQL running Apache Tomcat as a sort of thing between it and Eclipse as the development environment, and you put all those together as your little development sort of environment. It doesn't have to be that, but typically you will have some database, some operating system, messaging software, the whole sort of environment together with it. So it's what you just call the platform. Some people swear by different platforms according to which organisation you're working for. These are sort of typical sort of type ones. It might be a sort of Microsoft one where you're working with a .NET type environment and their web server and their version of SQL, their languages to write in. Or you might have a Java platform, typically working under a sort of Unix, Linux type environment. Oracle MySQL perhaps sort of running in the background. Again, on a sort of bigger enterprise level, it tends to be one of the larger databases like Oracle that's running with it. Or you have these LAMP and WAMP and XAMPP platforms, which are typically PHP, Apache, MySQL with Linux, Windows, Unix type of approach, and they often come as a downloadable package. But they are the sort of typical collection of software that you might run for your sort of web application. And another thing that we've not particularly looked at, is the idea of what we call middleware and things like messaging software. Anybody who's on the mobile application development will have just started using some messaging software called MQTT. It's just a way of broadcasting out messages between interested components or interested bodies within a system. Now, by messages, I don't mean just like text messages. It can be any sort of object that needs to be shared between a variety of users. So we have things like this publish-subscribe model that might take place, where somebody's sending out a message that goes to multiple applications to it. And you'll have this message-oriented middleware just running somewhere in the background. You'll have a look at that specifically with Java in the second term, when you look at the JMS, the Java messaging system, for sending things out. And again, sort of looking at this publish-subscribe methodology. It doesn't form part of this assignment. Just sort of bringing it in here as well, because some people may well have sort of heard of it. So yeah, you're using normally the software development tools. You use a program, you want some sort of editor for writing your things in, for debugging, perhaps for helping you out with autocomplete and that sort of stuff. And some people swear by using Eclipse, some say I want to use IntelliJ, some people want to use sort of different sort of Java editors. Others go for the Visual Studio approach. You're sometimes dictated as to which one you have to use, like Microsoft pretty much insists that you use Visual Studio. for their sort of development. You've got some sort of more flexibility in using Java because you can use a variety of platforms there for it. But often that sort of configuring the development tools for actually running it, the runtime version, can be quite time consuming. You've seen that yourself perhaps when you're setting it up on your own machine. And there's all these different versions of Java that everybody's trying to run, different versions of Apache and things, and I'm walking around in the lab trying to tweak individuals' laptops to get them sort of running in a particular configuration. And then keeping all these software versions up to date can be a bit of a hassle, and it stops you maybe from actually getting on with what you want to do, writing your application. That's what you're there for, that's what you're being paid to do. You'll be working for some software development company, you're either paid to develop applications, paid to write software for them. I mean, you might be on the network admin sort of side where you are going around updating things for people, not actually sort of writing the code. You might be sort of doing both. But there will be somebody responsible for all that sort of update of it, maintaining the platforms, installing them on servers, making sure the versions work together, all that sort of configuration, security settings, all these sorts of updates going on, all of which require a fairly sort of good level of competence in it. And as I say, that's quite often something that you get paid quite well to be able to do, to go in and change configurations or spot what's going wrong with somebody's sort of setup. But it stops you writing, it stops you from actually getting on with writing your own sort of software. So the idea here is just to say, well, let's farm that out and have the platform as a service. Let somebody else be responsible for making sure these things work together okay, for maintaining that sort of database connection, maintaining the security, maintaining the scalability of the app, and let us concentrate on writing your own application for it. So that's where the platform as a service is fitting in, this idea of creating that back-end platform that you can run your application on, albeit the different sort of types of one that you want, the things that you might just need to consider for that. What type of applications are you writing? Are you writing as a formal developer, programmer, wanting a sort of generic environment? And if so, which platform might you be working on? Because in many cases you're just dictated to by the company that you're working for. Or we're a Microsoft organisation, you've got to write in Visual Studio, that's just what we use for all our stuff with. Or it might be focusing on a particular domain, like building social networks. So you want a target environment for that. Now we're going to have a look, as I say, really here at one. Really, there's two covered for the sort of Microsoft one. So I'm going to actually bypass most of this, but about the sort of 12 or 15 slides are on about sort of Windows Azure as their operating system for it. It's where they've moved their operating system out to be a cloud-based one. Not only to work with their standard products, but to be able to develop apps in a Microsoft sort of environment using their database, their web-based operating system, their languages, together this SQL Azure, their sort of relational sort of database with it, and this app fabric which helps sort of integrate everything together. Now, as I say, I'm not well up at all on Microsoft products to it. I can sort of recognise C# code and sort of work my way through it, perhaps, but certainly it's not my own background for it. If you are thinking of working in that, you might want to follow the link on the main page and set yourself up with an Azure account. One of these things that again gives you sort of free access up to a certain level to it. I can't remember whether it's measured in months or dollars used for it. There are sort of a couple of approaches to doing it. But I'm just going to bypass the ones on the Microsoft Azure. So if you are interested in doing that, take a look through some of these sort of ones to sort of work on. all about their sort of data storage, how they work with queues, working with Microsoft Azure, that sort of thing. Google App Engine, soon to be replaced by their more generic sort of cloud server. That is the environment that we're more familiar with as sort of developers on this particular course and what you've done throughout the years. Not necessarily to say one's better than another, it's just to avoid us getting too spread out in what we do. We can execute our web applications on the Google infrastructure, and they'll cope with things like all the network traffic increasing, or as your application grows, where to automatically store these sorts of things to scale it as needed. You just concentrate on writing your app at that sort of front end, and you did a small example last week with that Google App Engine and your Hello World, and hopefully we managed to sort of get it deployed out there. They do a variety of environments, whether it's Java, Python and PHP. They've now ventured into more straightforward virtual machines and offer even sort of more languages for it. It's a pay-as-you-use approach to it. We've got some sort of free access. We can use